When you hear that a single fruit can increase your nitric oxide by 247% overnight, you might think it sounds impossible. But that's exactly what clinical research has shown. And when my patients add it the right way, the difference is not subtle. I'm talking about stronger circulation, more reliable performance, and a level of drive many men thought they had lost forever. I'll explain exactly which fruit this is and how to use it correctly in just a moment. But first, you need to understand why nitric oxide is the single most overlooked factor for men over 60 who want to reclaim their vitality. In my 25 years specializing in men's health, I've seen countless men come into my clinic frustrated. They'll say, "My labs are normal, my doctor says I'm fine, but I feel like half the man I used to be." What they don't realize is that it's not just testosterone driving their performance. Testosterone is the spark, but nitric oxide is the fuel delivery system. Without enough nitric oxide, your blood vessels simply can't relax and open fully. That means less blood flow, less oxygen, less nutrient delivery to the organs and muscles that matter most. Here's what makes this critical. After age 60, your natural nitric oxide production drops by about 75%. Think about that. 3/4 of the molecule responsible for circulation is gone. And yet most men have never even had it mentioned in a doctor's office. That decline is why you might notice you don't recover as quickly after exercise. Your stamina in the bedroom isn't the same, and even your memory feels a little foggy. All of these are tied to circulation, and nitric oxide is at the center of it. One of my patients, William, a 67-year-old retired teacher, experienced this firsthand. He was active his whole life, but in the last 5 years, he noticed a steady decline. His walks with his wife became shorter, he needed naps in the afternoon, and intimacy was increasingly frustrating. His testosterone labs came back at 350 nanograms per deciliter, technically within the normal range, but he felt nothing like himself. Within 4 weeks of adding this fruit into his daily routine, his energy transformed. He told me, "For the first time in years, I woke up with energy before my alarm." And within 8 weeks, his performance with his wife was back in a way that made him emotional to even talk about. Now here's why this matters more than you might think. Most men assume erectile changes are purely about testosterone or age. But I can tell you, that's not the full picture. Testosterone gets the headlines, but nitric oxide is the molecule that makes erections physically possible. It signals the smooth muscles in your blood vessels to relax, allowing them to fill rapidly with blood. Without enough nitric oxide, your body is trying to start an engine without fuel in the tank. That's why some men even on testosterone replacement still struggle, because they've fixed the spark but not the fuel line. So what's actually happening in your body when nitric oxide declines? Imagine your arteries as garden hoses. When you're younger, those hoses are flexible, smooth, and they open up easily when water pressure rises. With age, the lining inside those hoses, called the endothelium, loses its ability to produce nitric oxide efficiently. The result is stiffness, reduced blood flow, and pressure buildup. That's not just a sexual issue, it's a whole body vitality issue. Low nitric oxide is linked to cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and even faster aging. But there's one fruit, proven in multiple studies, that restores this function dramatically. When consumed daily, it can increase nitric oxide levels by up to 247% in older adults. And no, I'm not talking about something exotic or expensive. It's a fruit you can find at your local grocery store. Before I reveal it, let me explain why the typical approaches men try, pills, supplements, even prescriptions, often fail to address the real problem. Many of the supplements sold online claim to boost testosterone or circulation. The problem is, they either contain underdosed ingredients or they rely on compounds that your aging body doesn't process efficiently. For example, arginine used to be the go-to nitric oxide booster. But after age 40, your body loses much of its ability to convert arginine into nitric oxide. That's why so many men say, "I tried arginine and nothing happened." The science now shows that citrulline, found abundantly in this fruit, bypasses that problem entirely. Your body converts citrulline into arginine inside your cells, and then directly into nitric oxide, even in older age. That's the game changer. Tom, a 71-year-old patient of mine, illustrates this perfectly. He had tried every supplement he could order online: ginseng, maca, even expensive male vitality stacks. Nothing made a real difference. Within 2 weeks of eating this fruit daily, his blood pressure dropped by 12 points, and his wife noticed he was less fatigued in the evenings. By 6 weeks, he had what he described as college-level performance in the bedroom. He laughed when he told me, but his eyes were glassy with relief. That's the power of giving your body what it can still use efficiently. So what is this fruit? It's watermelon. Specifically, the flesh and especially the white rind near the skin, which is rich in L-citrulline. Research from Texas A&M and other universities has documented how watermelon consumption can significantly raise plasma arginine levels, which then boosts nitric oxide availability. One study measured a 247% increase in nitric oxide metabolites after consistent intake. That's not marketing hype, that's a clinical measurement. Now you might be wondering, how much watermelon are we talking about? Here's the exact protocol I give my patients. Consume about 2 cups of fresh watermelon daily. If you can, include some of the white rind. It contains even more citrulline than the red flesh. For those who prefer convenience, blending it into a smoothie works just as well, as long as you don't add excessive sugar. Most men notice improvements in stamina and energy within 2 to 3 weeks, but the vascular benefits continue to build over 6 to 8 weeks. But there's one factor that can make or break your results. If you're eating watermelon on top of a diet full of processed food and refined sugar, your endothelial function is still being damaged daily. It's like trying to fix a leaking roof while leaving the hose running inside the house. That's why I pair the watermelon protocol with 2 other simple dietary adjustments: reducing processed carbs and adding leafy greens, which supply nitrates that your body also converts into nitric oxide. This creates a synergistic effect, multiplying the benefit. Let me show you why this combination is so effective. When you eat watermelon, you're giving your body citrulline, which converts into arginine, and then into nitric oxide. When you eat leafy greens like spinach, arugula, or beet greens, you're providing nitrates that your saliva and stomach bacteria turn into nitric oxide directly. When you combine the two, you're feeding both pathways at once. Think of it as turning on 2 faucets filling the same tank. The result is stronger, longer-lasting nitric oxide production. And that means sustained improvements in circulation, stamina, and vascular health. Now here's where most men make a mistake. They think, if a little is good, more must be better. I've had patients who went through half a watermelon a day, thinking it would speed up results. That backfires. Excess sugar, even from fruit, spikes insulin, which damages the very endothelial cells you're trying to heal. That's why the sweet spot is about 2 cups per day, enough to deliver the clinical dose of citrulline, but not so much that you overwhelm your blood sugar regulation. Let's connect this to something you've probably felt. You might notice that when you were younger, exercise alone was enough to keep you sharp, energized, and performing well. Now even with regular activity, it doesn't seem to have the same effect. That's because exercise naturally boosts nitric oxide, but only if your endothelium can respond to the signal. If your nitric oxide baseline is depleted, the exercise signal is like shouting into an empty room. Once you restore nitric oxide with nutrition, suddenly the exercise clicks again, and you feel results like you haven't in years. I remember one of my patients, Alan, who was 64 when he came to me. He was skeptical. He said, "Doctor, I've been going to the gym for 3 years straight, and I still feel weak, still can't lose the belly, and intimacy is hit or miss." His labs looked fine on paper. Within 6 weeks of following this protocol, 2 cups of watermelon daily, leafy greens 5 days a week, plus strength training 3 times per week. He dropped 10 pounds, regained visible muscle tone, and told me his wife pulled me aside at a follow-up visit to say, "Thank you for giving me my husband back." Those moments never get old. Now here's why this matters more than most men realize. Low nitric oxide isn't just about circulation in one area of the body. It's systemic. It affects your brain, your heart, your muscles, and even your sleep. Studies from Johns Hopkins have shown that reduced nitric oxide is linked with cognitive decline, and men with lower nitric oxide availability are at higher risk of heart events. So when you focus on boosting nitric oxide, You're not only addressing performance, you're protecting your brain, your heart, and your future independence. But there's one more obstacle that holds many men back. Even when they eat the right foods, they sabotage their nitric oxide with mouthwash. Yes, mouthwash. Here's why. Your body relies on specific bacteria in your mouth to convert dietary nitrates from greens into nitric oxide. Antibacterial mouthwash wipes them out, sometimes reducing nitric oxide levels by as much as 60%. So if you're eating spinach and wondering why you're not seeing results, that blue liquid might be the hidden culprit. The fix is simple. Skip the harsh antibacterial rinses and switch to a natural rinse or plain water. Let me pause here because I know some of you may be thinking, this sounds promising, but I've tried so many things before. That skepticism is healthy. You should question everything you put into your body. But here's what makes this different. The results are measurable. If you want proof, you can buy simple nitric oxide test strips online. They cost about $20 and give you a saliva reading. When my patients follow this protocol, their strips go from pale pink, indicating deficiency, to dark crimson red, showing abundant nitric oxide production. You can see the difference for yourself, often in as little as 2 weeks. Now, I promised you something important earlier, the one factor that makes or breaks results beyond diet alone. And it's this: muscle demand. Nitric oxide is produced in your blood vessels, but it's only released when your muscles call for more oxygen. That means without physical activity, you're creating the fuel but not burning it. The protocol works best when paired with resistance training 3 times per week. Not endless cardio, not long hours on a treadmill. Simple, focused resistance. 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps per muscle group, where the last 2 reps feel challenging. That sends the signal. Keep the nitric oxide flowing, we need it. Another patient, Frank, age 70, illustrates this perfectly. He started with the nutrition changes, but didn't exercise. He felt modest improvements, less fatigue, better sleep, but intimacy didn't improve much. Once he added 2 30-minute resistance sessions per week, just bodyweight squats, push-ups, and resistance bands, the difference was night and day. Within 4 weeks he told me, "Doctor, I feel like someone turned the lights back on." That's what happens when nutrition and exercise align. I know this might sound like a lot to change, but I want to reassure you, it's simpler than it seems. You don't need to overhaul your whole diet or spend hours in the gym. 2 cups of watermelon daily. Leafy greens most days. Avoid antibacterial mouthwash. Add resistance training 3 times a week. That's it. Small steps, but they work together like gears in a machine. Each one multiplies the effect of the other. And here's something most men overlook: timing. If you want the maximum benefit for intimacy, consume your watermelon about 90 minutes before. That's when your nitric oxide peak lines up with your body's natural rhythm. I've had countless patients tell me that making this simple timing adjustment was the difference between some improvement and life-changing improvement. Now let's address a few myths and troubleshooting tips, because I know these are the exact questions I get from men in my clinic all the time. Myth number 1. I'll just take a nitric oxide supplement instead of changing my diet. Here's the truth. Most over-the-counter nitric oxide boosters rely on arginine or beet powders. The problem is, if your endothelial function is impaired, arginine doesn't always convert efficiently. Plus, supplements often deliver short bursts with no sustained effect. Food works differently. When you eat watermelon and leafy greens, you're not only delivering the raw materials, you're repairing the system that makes nitric oxide. That's the foundation supplements can't replace. Myth number 2. I'm too old. My body just can't produce nitric oxide anymore. That's false. Research out of the University of Texas shows that even men in their 70s and 80s can double nitric oxide levels with diet and moderate resistance training. Age reduces baseline production, yes, but it doesn't eliminate your ability to respond. I've seen 78-year-old men with better nitric oxide readings than 45-year-olds, simply because they applied this exact protocol. Myth number 3. It only helps circulation down there. No, this is about total body health. When you boost nitric oxide, you're improving the flexibility of arteries in your brain, your heart, your kidneys. That means clearer thinking, better blood pressure control, faster recovery after exercise. Men who commit to this often report, "My energy is back. My confidence is back. And yes, intimacy feels natural again." It's the whole package. Now if you've been listening and thinking, "This sounds great, but what if I don't like watermelon?" Don't worry. You can substitute. Pomegranate delivers similar polyphenol that preserve nitric oxide. Beets and beet juice are excellent sources. Even dark chocolate, 70% or higher, can support endothelial function. The key principle is the same. Give your body the raw materials and protect the pathway from damage. Here's another practical troubleshooting tip. Watch your oral health. Remember earlier, we talked about mouthwash killing off good bacteria? Well, gum disease does the same. Inflammation in your gums raises oxidative stress in your bloodstream, directly reducing nitric oxide. I often tell my patients, flossing is a performance enhancer. Keep your mouth healthy, and your nitric oxide pathway stays healthy. Now let's bring this all together. If you're a man over 60, here's your simple step-by-step plan. 1. 2 cups of watermelon daily, preferably in the morning or 90 minutes before intimacy. 2. Leafy greens 5 days a week. Rotate spinach, arugula, beet greens, kale. 3. Cut out antibacterial mouthwash. Let your good bacteria do their job. 4. Resistance training 3 times a week. Focus on large muscle groups. 5. Track your progress. Consider nitric oxide test strips or simply monitor your energy, stamina, and intimacy. Do this consistently for 6 weeks, and you'll feel the difference. In 12 weeks, it becomes your new normal. I want to leave you with one powerful image. Picture a garden hose that's been left outside for years. The rubber stiffens, cracks, and it doesn't bend well. That's what happens to your arteries with age, unless you restore nitric oxide. Now picture that same hose after being treated, softened, made flexible again. Water flows smoothly. That's what nitric oxide does inside your body. It restores flexibility and flow, from head to toe. Before we close, I want to invite you to take the next step. If this resonated with you, don't stop here. In my next video, I reveal the 4 vegetables men over 60 should avoid immediately, and the 4 you should eat instead. Because even with nitric oxide boosting foods, the wrong vegetables can secretly sabotage your hormones, your gut health, and your circulation. That video connects perfectly with what you've learned today, and it could save you months of frustration. So here's what to do. Click the link on your screen or in the description to watch that video next. If you found this valuable, tap the thumbs up button. It really does help other men like you discover these solutions. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next breakthrough strategy. Gentlemen, let me end with this. You are not broken. What you're experiencing is not a sign of weakness or inevitable decline. It's biology. And biology can be restored. With the right foods, the right habits, and the right mindset, you can reclaim your vitality, your confidence, and your independence, at any age. I'm Dr. Mei Anderson, and I'll see you in the next video.